June 15, 2017. A quiet residential street in Liverpool's Everton district. A call comes into the Merseyside police, a car engulfed in flames on Whitehaven Road. Firefighters rush to the scene. As the flames die down and the smoke clears, they make a horrifying discovery that would shake even the most hardened first responders. Inside the charred shell of the Ford Focus lay the brutalized body of 54-year-old Joseph McKeever. His killers had gone to extraordinary lengths to cover their tracks. But they made one critical mistake. Tonight on Crime Scene Chronicles, we're diving into one of Liverpool's most shocking murder cases, a tale of organized crime, international drug trafficking, and a torture so brutal that seasoned detectives would call it the worst they'd ever seen. This isn't just another crime story. This is the dark reality of what happens when criminal enterprises implode from within, and the innocent pay the ultimate price for crimes they didn't commit. If this is your first time with us on Crime Scene Chronicles, this case will show you exactly why our community of true crime seekers has grown so rapidly. Hit subscribe now, give this video a like, and join us as we piece together the evidence of this harrowing case, one clue at a time. Joseph McKeever was many things to many people. To his family, he was a loving, 54-year-old father and grandfather. A man of local business interests who always had time for those close to him. But beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary Liverpool businessman lay connections to an underworld most of us never see. McKeever operated in shadows. He had become a middleman in international cannabis trafficking operations, a dangerous position that required navigating relationships between serious organized crime groups in both the UK and Spain. It was a risky business, and Joseph had managed to survive in this treacherous world for years. Until June 14, 2017, when everything went catastrophically wrong. What Joseph didn't know as he went about his business that day was that a shipment of cannabis, worth between £130,000 and £170,000, had been intercepted by authorities. A shipment he was responsible for facilitating. And someone wanted answers. Before we continue piecing together Joseph's final hours, if you're finding this case as compelling as our community does, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and give the video a like. Your engagement helps our channel reach more true crime enthusiasts, and sharing with friends who appreciate these in-depth investigations makes a huge difference. Our channel is dedicated to bringing you the most thoroughly researched true crime stories, and your support helps us continue this important work. CCTV from the afternoon of June 14 captured Joseph McKeever walking toward a shipping container at MGM Garage in Kensington, Liverpool. This would be the last time he was seen alive by anyone outside of his killers. What he thought was a routine meeting was actually a carefully orchestrated trap. Inside that container waited a group of men, led by 43-year-old Lee Knox, a significant figure in Liverpool's criminal hierarchy. They were convinced McKeever had somehow cheated them out of their cannabis shipment. The reality that the drugs had been seized by authorities didn't matter to them. They wanted their product or their money. And they were willing to go to unimaginable lengths to get it. What happened inside that shipping container over the next 4 hours can only be described as torture. Based on the forensic evidence later collected, investigators determined that McKeever was subjected to a savage and sustained assault. His kneecaps were broken. His ribs were shattered. He suffered catastrophic head injuries. His face and jaw were fractured by what forensic experts believe was a weapon similar to brass knuckles. But the horror was just beginning. And that's where our first major twist in this case comes in. If you're as invested in understanding the psychology behind these brutal crimes as we are, make sure you're subscribed to Crime Scene Chronicles and hit that like button. Don't forget to share this video with fellow true crime enthusiasts. We don't just cover what happened, we dive into the why, helping our community understand the darker aspects of human nature. As night fell on June 14th, McKeever was still alive, though barely. His captors weren't finished with him. In a decision that would later seal their fate, the group moved Joseph from the shipping container to a flat on Picton Crescent in Wavertree. This second location belonged to Darren Colcozy, one of the men involved in the torture. What they didn't realize was that this change of location was creating a trail of evidence that would eventually lead investigators right to their doorstep. Inside the flat, the torture continued through the night. Text messages later recovered from Kolakos's phone revealed the horrifying reality of what was happening. In messages to his girlfriend, he wrote, "I'm on a plot with some guys and a guy owes them big time. They have him tied up at my gaff, it's like a proper movie." Another message read, "It's mad as fuck. They just wrapped him up and put him in the back of the car." These casual text messages about unfathomable cruelty would become crucial evidence. At some point during the early hours of June 15th, after hours of torture and with no way to produce the drugs or money his captors demanded, Joseph McKeever died from his catastrophic injuries. But the perpetrators' efforts to cover their tracks were just beginning. What they did next shocked even veteran homicide detectives. Our Crime Scene Chronicles community knows we never shy away from the difficult details that help us understand these cases fully. If you appreciate our in-depth approach to true crime storytelling, consider subscribing now and giving this video a thumbs up. Share it with others who appreciate meticulous crime analysis. Your engagement allows us to continue bringing these important stories to light. With McKeever dead, the killers faced a new problem: disposing of his body. They wrapped his remains and loaded him into the back of a Ford Focus. The vehicle was driven to Whitehaven Road in Everton, a quiet residential street where one of the conspirators, Dylan Owen, doused the car in gasoline and set it ablaze. The fire was spotted by local residents who immediately called emergency services. Firefighters arrived quickly to extinguish the flames, making the grim discovery of human remains inside. The Merseyside police immediately launched a murder investigation. The condition of the body presented enormous challenges. Fire can destroy crucial evidence. But in this case, the extensive injuries suffered by McKeever before his death were still detectable by forensic pathologists. Dr. Jonathan Metcalf, who performed the postmortem, determined that McKeever had died before the fire. His report documented in clinical detail the extreme torture McKeever had endured: broken kneecaps, fractured ribs, severe head trauma, and strangulation marks. The burnt car was intended to erase all evidence. Instead, it became the starting point for what Detective Superintendent Richie Salter would later call a long and complex investigation. But the question remained, who would commit such a heinous crime? And how would investigators connect the dots from a burnt-out car to the perpetrators? If you're following the methodical detective work in this case, you're exactly the kind of viewer who belongs in our Crime Scene Chronicles community. Hit subscribe now, give this video a like, and consider sharing it with others interested in true crime analysis. Your engagement ensures you'll never miss an episode as we continue to analyze the most compelling true crime cases from around the world. The investigation into Joseph McKeever's murder quickly became one of the most complex cases Merseyside police had handled. Detectives began by tracing McKeever's last known movements. CCTV footage from across Liverpool was collected, showing Joseph's final journey to the container yard. This crucial video evidence then led investigators to MGM Garage in Kensington. Forensic teams descended on the shipping container, where they found blood matching McKeever's DNA. This established the first crime scene. But there was more. Cell site analysis of the suspects' phones revealed their movements over those critical 24 hours. The digital trail led detectives to the second crime scene, the flat on Picton Crescent. When police entered Darren Kolakos's apartment, they found it had been hastily cleaned. But no cleaning could remove the blood that had seeped into the floorboards. Forensic luminol tests revealed the shocking extent of bloodstains throughout the property. Even more damning was the recovery of text messages from Kolakos's phone, casually describing the torture as if it were entertainment. The net was closing. But one crucial player remained at large. As arrests began, investigators realized that the suspected ringleader, Lee Knox, had vanished. What followed was an international manhunt that would take years to conclude. These intricate investigations are exactly what Crime Scene Chronicles is dedicated to exploring. If you appreciate our detailed approach to uncovering how these cases are solved, subscribe now and hit that like button. Share this video with your true crime community to join our growing network of true crime analysts. As the investigation advanced, a clear picture of the conspiracy emerged. 6 men were ultimately identified as being involved in McKeever's murder, each playing distinct roles in the horrific crime. Jamie Grimes, the owner of MGM Garage, admitted to torturing McKeever but denied delivering the fatal blow. His fingerprints were found on the adhesive tape used to bind the victim. Darren Colcozy and Carl Kelly were identified as accomplices who helped move McKeever between locations and participated in the torture. Their text messages and phone locations placed them squarely at both crime scenes. Dylan Owen's role was to destroy evidence, setting fire to the car containing McKeever's body in a failed attempt to erase all traces of the crime. Anthony Wales, known on the streets as Champo, was identified as the group's enforcer, a man with a reputation for violence who was brought in specifically for his brutality. But the man alleged to have orchestrated the entire crime, Lee Knox, had fled. First to Spain, then to Northern Ireland. While the others faced justice, Knox remained a fugitive. In court, a disturbing picture emerged of why this horrific crime had occurred. The group had convinced themselves that McKeever had somehow stolen or diverted their cannabis shipment. The truth, that authorities had intercepted the drugs, either wasn't known to them or wasn't believed. In their world, someone had to pay. And Joseph McKeever became the scapegoat for their losses. But how would justice finally catch up with the mastermind of this brutal killing? If you're captivated by the complex web of criminal enterprises and how they ultimately unravel, you belong with us at Crime Scene Chronicles. Subscribe now, like this video, and share it with others who appreciate detailed crime analysis to ensure you never miss our detailed examinations of cases like this one. In February 2018, the first trial concluded at Liverpool Crown Court. Jamie Grimes was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 27 years. Darren Colcozy and Carl Kelly each received 22 years. Dylan Owen was given 6 years for assisting an offender and destroying evidence. But the case remained open. Anthony Wales was still at large, finally captured and convicted in 2019, receiving a life sentence with a minimum of 24 years. And then there was Lee Knox, the alleged ringleader, who had managed to evade authorities for nearly 3 years. The breakthrough came in April 2020. Working with the Police Service of Northern Ireland, Merseyside detectives finally tracked Knox to Belfast. He was arrested and extradited back to Liverpool to face justice. Despite being present throughout the torture and murder, Knox denied any direct involvement. The jury wasn't convinced. On January 22, 2021, Lee Knox was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 30 years, bringing the total combined sentences for McKeever's killers to more than 130 years. In his sentencing remarks, Judge Andrew Menery QC described the murder as an act of outrageous violence committed by men involved in serious organized crime. Detective Superintendent Richie Salter made a powerful statement outside court. This was a particularly horrific case. Mr. McKeever suffered a sustained and brutal assault at the hands of these men who have shown no remorse for their actions. The case was finally closed. But the impact on Liverpool's criminal landscape was just beginning. Stories like these remind us why Crime Scene Chronicles exists, to document the pursuit of justice in even the most heinous cases. If you value these detailed accounts, make sure you're subscribed, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with others who appreciate thoughtful crime analysis. Join us for our next investigation. The murder of Joseph McKeever sent shockwaves through Liverpool that continued to reverberate years later. For law enforcement, the case highlighted the extreme violence lurking within organized drug trafficking networks. It prompted increased cooperation between UK police and their European counterparts to target international smuggling routes, particularly between Spain and Britain. For the criminal underworld, it served as a stark reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control when drug shipments go missing and paranoia takes hold. But beyond these circles, Joseph McKeever's murder revealed something more universal, how assumptions and false accusations can lead to unimaginable consequences. Joseph died for a crime he didn't commit, the victim of a misplaced suspicion that could have been resolved if his captors had simply sought the truth. The 6 men responsible are now serving their sentences, with decades behind bars ahead of them. The combined prison terms total more than 130 years, a significant price for their brutal actions. Yet for Joseph McKeever's family, no sentence could ever be sufficient. They lost a father, a grandfather, a loved one, in circumstances too horrific to contemplate. As Crime Scene Chronicles, we believe in examining these cases not just to understand what happened, but to learn from them, to recognize the warning signs of escalating violence and the dangerous consequences of criminal enterprises that operate beyond the reach of law. If you found value in our detailed examination of this case, please consider subscribing to Crime Scene Chronicles, giving this video a like, and sharing it with others who appreciate thorough crime analysis. Each week, we bring you meticulously researched accounts of cases that shaped our understanding of crime and justice. Hit that subscribe button now, smash the like button, and join our community of over 1,500 viewers who appreciate thorough, respectful analysis of true crime cases. Share this video with friends who share your interest in true crime. Together, we can learn from these tragedies while honoring the memories of those whose lives were cut short. Thank you for watching Crime Scene Chronicles. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed.